Timeframes. Timeframe analysis, or TFA, is going to be focusing on high timeframe macro levels. We will be referring to the macro levels as intervals such as years, months, weeks, or days. By identifying a high timeframe level around support and resistance levels and swing points, which we have learned in past lessons, we're then going to go a bit deeper and look at a micro view, or a lower time frame. This is going to be focusing on hours and minutes. The reason we want to start with our macro high time frame view is because it's going to help us understand the overall trend, where are the buyers and sellers at key points on a high time frame chart. By identifying the key points around swing points and support and resistance levels, we're then going to be able to drop our time frame and look at a lower time frame chart. This is going to help us as we start to identify entries and exits for our trading strategies going forward. SR, support and resistance, which we have gone over in past lessons, goes hand in hand with TFA. When looking at time frame analysis, we're going to be marking out high time frame levels, as we just stated. We're going to be locating these by finding swing points and support and resistance zones. After identifying the key points on a high time frame chart, we're then going to be able to drop our time frame and look for other swing points and support and resistance levels. More often than not, you will see that the macro levels tend to match up nicely with the micro levels. Let's take a look at a macro monthly chart. Here we can see some terms on this that everyone should be familiar with, and let's start to break it down. Here we have our swing low and a swing high. We're looking at this on a monthly chart. Here we have identified a consolidation range-bound market. Our sellers are here in a supply zone at resistance. Our buyers are here in a demand zone at support. We can see that price has found a local low right here at a range low. Here we're making higher lows. And here price is breaking out above this swing high and this range high. Now let's focus on breakout SR flip. Well, in the beginning of this lesson, we talked about marking out key high time frame levels. This is a crucial point for price. As we can see, this breakout has broken above this range high and this swing high. Here we are illustrating higher lows and higher highs. So if we look at this breakout SR flip, what does it mean? Well, support, resistance, flip. This at one point was resistance. If we move forward in the chart, this should act as support if price is going to come back into this level. So let's see what happens. Here we can see price is going up. We're into a resistance supply zone where the sellers have stepped in, and price is being pushed back down into our newfound support off of past resistance. Identifying these SR flips and breakouts is a key component to marking out high time frame levels. Keep in mind that resistance has become support here, but support can also become resistance on a breakdown, and we're going to get into that in later sections. Moving on, we can see price coming back up into our supply zone, resistance, sellers are present. Price is pushed back down into our newfound support zone and our SR flip. Support is acting as it should, which was previous resistance. Our buyers are stepping in here, our buyers are stepping in here. Here we can see that a dip slight below these swing lows, but a very nice reaction by our buyers and a bullish market structure has begun. Here price is pushing through our past resistance zone. So as we know it, as resistance has become support, and we just broke through resistance here, this could act as support going forward. Moving along, we can see buyers pushing up price, getting to an exhaustion point where the sellers are stepping in at a resistance level, pushing back price all the way down into our support zone. which was prior resistance at our breakout point. And we can see that this range high and this swing high are being respected, and the SR flip is doing its job. Moving on, we see price moving up and coming back down to test our prior resistance, which has become future support. So take note of these breakout SR flips, and we'll get into breakdowns, as well as the overall market structure. Is the market trending, ranging, and start to piece together all of the things that we have talked about in past lessons. So let's take a look at this monthly chart on a daily view. This is the same chart we just looked at, but with a daily, we're getting more information. There's more candles to discern what the buyers and sellers are doing. So let's break it down. Here we have our range low, price is making higher lows, and here's our breakout point. But let's focus on this and really look at what's happening. We can see that price is broken above this range high right here, but comes back to test before moving up. If we look at where it tested, it's about this swing high. Here is a nice indication of an SR flip being respected, where resistance has become support. Moving on, we can see our supply zone right here where resistance and sellers are present. Price is being pushed back down into our newfound support zone. Now let's look at these candles. In the candlestick structure analysis video, we know that the long lower wicks are suggesting sellers are running out of steam and the buyers are stepping in. As we look at entries and exits for trading strategies going forward, these are the types of things we want to look at around these SR flips. Moving along, we can see prices coming back into our resistance supply zone, pushing down into our support zone, and here as well. And the buyers have made it very obvious they're stepping in. Price is pushing up aggressively through our resistance zone, coming back down into our support zone, respecting this breakout area. We can see prices moving up, and we have it bouncing off of our newfound support on this SR flip. So let's take a look at a lower time frame analysis. Here we have a 4-hour chart. We're going to be implementing the same strategies that we just did on the monthly and daily. Identifying support here with our long lower wick, and our buyers are stepping in. We can see prices pushing up, coming back down into our support zone, as we can see the buyers and the demand is here, and illustrated right here. Moving up, running into some resistance here where the sellers have stepped in. And here's the interesting part. Price has a large impulse down through our support zone. So just with a breakout SR flip, where resistance becomes support, support can become resistance at a breakdown SR flip. Moving along, we have a new support zone right here where the buyers are stepping in. And we can see here as price pushes up into our SR flip on the breakdown, this is now acting as resistance. Price pushes back down into support where the buyers are, where demand is. We're pushing up, running into some supply as the sellers are stepping in, making lower highs, and again, breaking down through our support zone, which, as we know, breakdown SR, support should become future resistance. Moving along, we can see the buyers are stopping the selling right here, pushing price back up into our newfound resistance. Moving down into our support zone, seeing a reaction from the buyers, having trouble in our newfound resistance off previous support. And at this point, the sellers have given up and the buyers have taken over, and we have a breakout SR flip, just like we saw in the previous examples. So looking at this on a 4-hour chart, let's drop time frame to a 15-minute and see what kind of clues we can get. Here's our previous support zone, which has turned resistance on a breakdown SR. Here we can see on a lower time frame, there's more indication of buyers really stepping in. Here we have long lower wicks with a sharp recovery back up. Coming back down, buyer stepping in, making a higher low off of this swing low. Here we can see a higher low off of this low. And eventually an impulse nicely up into our new resistance zone. Now, if we were looking at trading strategies on a low time frame, which we'll get into later on, this could be ideal for scalping, shorting or selling back into a breakdown SR flip. Here we can see that the sellers have stepped in along upper wick, suggesting the buyers are running out of steam. Price is pushed back down into our support zone. This is a nice illustration of buyers stepping in right here and here. As we look at the trading strategies for scalping, which we'll get into later on, this could be potentially a good buy, as we're retesting a support zone for the first time. Here we can see prices moving up, coming back down into support, moving up, making a lower high, and eventually, as we saw in the previous 4-hour chart, breaking down through our support. Here is a breakdown SR flip, so we know if price were to come back into it, as we see here, it should be acting as resistance. And we can see the sellers are stepping in here. And so as we start to recognize these SR flips, swing points, and key support and resistance zones on a high time frame, you can see as we drop our time frames, we're getting more clues, looking at candlestick structure and seeing what the sellers and the buyers are doing at these levels. Moving forward, we can see a breakout SR flip here. Nice bullish market structure making higher lows and higher highs. At this consolidation point, we can see price breaks up into our resistance zone, retraces slightly, and respects this past resistance as future support. And here we're making higher lows and higher highs. So as we start to look at time frame analysis and different trading strategies around it, let's dive into what we mean by that. As we discussed, macro is higher time frame. This is going to be involved position trading and swing trading. For now, all you need to know that these two types of strategies are longer term. If we're looking at micro or lower time frame strategies, we'll be referring to day trading and scalping. Day trading is as it sounds. This would be opening and closing a trade within that interval. In the case of a day, 24 hours. When looking at scalping, this can be used on lower time frame minute and hourly charts. Kind of like the example we just talked about, buying a support zone or selling a resistance zone on an SR flip. The key takeaway for all this is macro SR levels and swing points are going to be the best way to gauge where the buyers or sellers are. By doing this, we can then drop our time frames using lower time frame analysis and really figure out with more clues what the buyers and sellers are. And this is ultimately going to help us with planning trades as we're looking at entries and exits going forward.